This is Lived In, the interior design podcast for ordinary people living in ordinary homes. This season is called Voice Notes, an audio newsletter covering art, architecture, and one good piece of interior design advice. Let's get into it. Hello everyone. Welcome back to episode 15. We're going strong. We're doing well. Let's talk about the art this week. It is The Sculptures of Adam and Eve by Fernando Botero. You might not know his name, but I promise you've seen his artwork before. His kind of specialty, his signature, is doing these images of people, whether that be paintings or whether that be bronze sculptures like the ones in the newsletter, that have these kind of supersize shapes. They are a lot rounder than maybe you would expect in traditional art portraiture. So I love these. I think the nature of them, the way he does them, makes them innately quite whimsical. It doesn't feel like he's taking himself too seriously. There are a lot of quite sexual images in his work if you go back and look at him, and the sculptures I've featured are no different, but they're not vulgar. They are playful without being juvenile, but just very cool to look at. And also I love the celebration of a figure that is not, stick thin. So you can take a look at those in the newsletter, and I've also linked in the newsletter and in the show notes to his website, some of his work, so you can see more of his style. But I love these as a character-filled touch in a space, if you have that kind of money, because these are not cheap. Okay, if you are a long-time listener or a long-time reader of the newsletter, then you're going to immediately be able to tell that I've done something different here. For the real estate, going forward, I am experimenting with just talking about one listing that really captures my attention. And the reason for that is when I'm looking at real estate by category, so for example, last week it was listings under 300,000. It's rare that there are that many listings that really speak to me. Also, side note, People We Meet on Vacation. It's on Netflix. I will link it in the show notes now because I have mentioned it and I just now need you to know what I'm talking about. She sees this statue and she's like, it speaks to me. And anytime I say it speaks to me now, that's what jumps into my mind. Back to the listing though, the challenge with picking multiple homes in a specific category is that they're not all ones I actually feel necessarily drawn to. And I strive to be authentic in what I'm sharing and only share things that really resonate. So I am sharing one listing that I see that made me go, wow, that's cool. And I'm sharing that with you instead. So this week's listing is 3539 Highway 258. I recognize that's a weird address, especially if you're not American. But anyway, 3539 Highway 258 in Scotland Neck. So it is kind of northwest, if you're looking at the state of North Carolina. And it is listed for $750,000. And before you say that's a lot of money, which it is, I need you to be aware that this, again, is one of those one-of-a-kind listings. So it is an 18-acre estate, complete with a stately home. So there you go, 18 acres, stately home. Suddenly the $750,000 doesn't seem insane. It is over 5,000 square feet, and it's one of those things visually, and there is an image in the newsletter, you see this and you understand it makes a statement on the land, which is great. It is in the Greek Revival style, which I love, and it was built in 1842. And it has the symmetry, it has the 6/6 windows, the square pillars, the low-pitched roofing. That character is all there. There are 10 fireplaces. Yes, you heard me correctly. Stunning wooden floors throughout. And it has 5 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms. Also, if that's not enough room for you, there is a guest house on the property. I believe it's 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen. Just in case the 5,000 square feet isn't enough. You can keep horses out there. It also has an in-ground saltwater pool for obviously when the weather is not 28 degrees. And even though it is an older home, it has been modernized. They've got a brand new HVAC system, they've got a humidifier, they've sealed the crawl space, all of those kinds of things. So you can see, like I said, one image in the newsletter, but if you want to read the full listing, click the link in the show notes. Okay, are you ready for a little bonus section? These will be quick, I promise. They are 3 real estate related questions. I mean, technically 4, but 3 real estate related questions to ask your CPA because it's tax season and I want to help you. The first one is, if you have been investing in real estate, ask your CPA, can you tell me about 1031 exchanges? Are there any potential benefits for me? So there's one. Second one is, are my mortgage payments tax deductible? I don't know about this because I'm not a tax professional. Talk to your CPA. Number 3, am I up to date on my property taxes? Are they deductible? These are all helpful questions. And then the bonus question is for you, if you sold property last year, what are capital gains exclusions and do I qualify? So, like I said, I'm not a tax professional, but I've often found that my clients are really grateful for answers to these questions as they set real estate and financial goals for the new year. So make sure that you ask your CPA those. And just a general reminder, if you are thinking about buying or selling real estate this year, please reach out to me. I would love to help you. There are links in the show notes. All right, hopefully you guys are ready for this week's room study, and it's where the title of this episode comes from. Simple doesn't have to mean boring. So as usual, this is an image that's from my Pinterest board, a private Pinterest board that I have. You can see my public pins, obviously. And I've chosen this image because it really highlights great design. So the image that we're looking at is a powder bathroom from the Park Slope Neo-Tudor project, what a mouthful I know, by Jesse Paris Lamb and the Brooklyn Studio. Jesse Paris Lamb is the interior designer, the Brooklyn Studio are the architects. So let's talk about this image. I think one of the reasons that we have so many boring greyish spaces in our homes is because many of us crave simplicity and don't know that simplicity does not have to mean lacking in interest, but rather can just mean uncomplicated or unfussy. So you can have a simple space that is basic and boring, but you can also have a simple space that is still fun to be in. And the image this week, that powder bathroom, is a great demonstration of a simple space that's still fun to be in. So here's why it works. Number 1, it has depth and contrast. So many times when we think of contrast, we think of a crisp white against a matte black, which is not my favorite, by the way. And if you looked at last week's newsletter, I made sure that there was contrast in there, but it wasn't, again, that stark white, matte black situation. So you can achieve contrast without being so clear and stark and black and white, literally. You can use complementary colors, and those are the ones that are on opposite sides of the color wheel. Or you can use analogous colors, a mouthful. Those are the colors that are next to each other. And that will still bring interest, but is a lot less basic. So here the color scheme encompasses green, blue, beige, and then a punctuation of black in the wall grout, the light fixture, and the floor tile. Second reason why it works is that it uses mostly uncomplicated shapes. So aside from the mirror and the light fixture, the dominant shape is essentially a square. And I know that somebody somewhere is going to mention the sink being a rectangle. So here, this comment is for you. Yes, there is also a rectangle. Simple repeated shapes and patterns make a space easy for the eye to move through, which is key when the goal is to keep things simple. And yet, the flooring does feature a busier tile with some additional shapes, but that somehow still doesn't overwhelm the space. And I believe this is achieved through the thicker grout line. So the pattern is repeated, but it's in a controlled area. And you compare that to the wall grout, you can see that one is thicker and one is thinner. The empty space on the tile is the same color as the wall color, so it simplifies it. And then the other colors on the tile tie into the other colors in the room that are already present. The blue in the mirror, the black in the light, the green on the sink. Third reason it works is that it's pretty empty. If you want simple, then you cannot do cluttered. That just no bones about it. There's no extra toilet paper lying around. There's no waste paper basket. There's no stack of books on the floor or art on the wall. That doesn't mean that you can't have those things. And, obviously you need toilet paper and a hand towel. But if the goal is to be as close to minimalist as possible, then you need to dial down the additional items and really keep it to the bare minimum. Okay, the tip for you this week is a really boring one, honestly. It's about returns. So online shopping is all fun and games until your item arrives damaged, which I have experienced, or it just doesn't fit your style, which I have also experienced this more so with clothing than more so with clothing than with interior decor. But if you are certain, beyond a shadow of doubt, that you won't need to return or exchange an item, then you don't need to worry about the return policy. But if you aren't, then make sure that you read it in detail, the fine print included. Because if it's not easy, you might not do it, and then you're stuck with something that you don't like. The extra legwork in the beginning is well worth it if it saves you money in the long run. Obviously, this is a tip that doesn't necessarily require an image, but who would I be if I didn't give you something beautiful to look at? So this is an image from the Vincent Van Dusen for Zara Home advertising campaign. It's beautiful. It's like a moody space. And it has this beautiful chair that I cannot stop thinking about. Now, the Zara Home return policy is a bit tricky to find. You have to go into their terms and conditions to find it, and it is buried under... That's it for this week, guys. I have nothing more to tell you, nothing more to say, except for this one thing, which is to make sure that you go into the show notes. And if you want to follow our unexpected renovation on Substack, the link is in there for you to do that. That's it. Have a great week. See you next Monday.